Samuel was born in a forgotten village tucked between rolling hills and endless fields, a place where winters felt longer than life itself, and summers were just a brief reminder of what warmth used to mean. His childhood was shaped by hunger, cold nights, and the silent fear that tomorrow might be worse than today. His family lived in a crooked wooden cabin, its roof patched with straw and old cloth, where every raindrop sounded like fate knocking at the door. Samuel's father worked cutting wood for wealthier families, and his mother washed clothes in the icy river. But no matter how much they tried, the family remained trapped in poverty, always one bad season away from losing everything. Samuel grew up watching his father return home with shaking hands and aching bones. He saw his mother hide her tears behind a tired smile. When he was 12, his father fell sick. The doctors were far away, and the family couldn't afford to bring one. The man who once carried heavy logs on his shoulders now struggled to lift a cup of water. And so, Samuel stepped into adulthood long before his time. He picked up the same axe his father used and began walking into the forest at dawn, hoping the trees would be kinder to him than life had been so far. The work was brutal. The axe was heavier than it looked, and his young arms burned with every swing. The nights were cold, and his hands stayed bruised and blistered. But no matter how hard he worked, the money he earned was barely enough to buy bread. Wealthy landowners watched him with distant eyes. Some paid him fairly, others paid him less, and one elderly landowner once tossed a few coins at him like he was begging. Samuel swallowed the humiliation, but that moment planted a seed inside him. He realized he didn't just want to escape poverty, he wanted to rise so high that no one could ever look down on him again. One windy evening, Samuel sat beside his father, who coughed weakly under a worn blanket. The old man whispered, "Son, life will break you if you let it, but if you stand your ground, it will kneel before you." These words burned into Samuel's heart. He made a promise that night, a promise that he would carve a path out of misery, even if it meant giving every drop of strength he had left. Samuel searched the village for opportunities. He did farm work, carried water, cleaned stables, anything that earned a few coins. People noticed his determination but doubted his future. "Hard work doesn't change destiny," an old villager once told him. Samuel didn't believe that. Deep inside, he felt something waiting to grow, something bigger than fear. His turning point came when he met an aging carpenter named Mr. Tolliver. The man was known for crafting beautiful wooden chairs and tables that wealthier towns admired. Samuel approached him one morning and asked, "Sir, teach me. I'll work for free. Just teach me." At first, Mr. Tolliver refused, saying Samuel was too young and too inexperienced. But Samuel kept coming back. Every morning, he sat outside the workshop, waiting silently. After a week of persistence, the carpenter finally sighed and said, "Fine. But boy, this work demands patience and pain. You ready for that?" Samuel nodded without hesitation. Learning carpentry wasn't easy. Samuel's hands blistered again, this time from sanding wood instead of swinging an axe. He failed constantly. Crooked legs on chairs, uneven tabletops, joints that didn't fit. But each failure shaped him, just as the tools shaped the wood. Mr. Tolliver often scolded him, but secretly admired his fire. "You don't quit, do you?" the old man said once. Samuel simply replied, "I can't." Months turned into years. Samuel became skilled, more skilled than he ever imagined. His hands grew steady, his eye for detail sharper. When he completed his first perfect chair, he stood back and stared at it, almost in disbelief. The boy who once chopped wood to survive had now created something beautiful. It was the first moment he felt proud of himself. Word spread. People from nearby towns came to buy the furniture he made. Samuel saved every coin, living simply, refusing to forget where he came from. After Mr. Tolliver grew too old to work, he handed the workshop keys to Samuel, saying, "You earned this, son, not with luck, but with the kind of discipline most men fear." Samuel expanded the workshop. He hired other villagers, especially those who had struggled just as he had. He taught them, encouraged them, and paid them fairly. Soon, the workshop grew into a larger business. He built wagons, carved ornate furniture, and even crafted wooden frames for the wealthiest families in distant towns. Buyers traveled days to purchase his work. Years passed. Samuel's name became known far beyond the village. He built a larger house for his family and made sure his younger siblings never had to experience the hunger he once lived with. But despite the money, despite the success, he remained grounded. He still woke up before sunrise. He still worked with his hands. He still remembered the taste of struggle, and it made him grateful for every blessing. His moment of true triumph came when he purchased the same land where he once chopped wood as a poor boy. Walking across that field, he felt decades of pain, rejection, and humiliation fall away. He remembered the rich landowner who once tossed coins at him. He remembered the cold nights, the blistered hands, his father's fading voice telling him never to surrender. Samuel had risen from the shadows of poverty to stand in a place of power, peace, and self-respect. But his wealth was not what defined him. What defined him was his will, his discipline, his refusal to accept that poverty was permanent. He became a leader, a mentor, a symbol of resilience. Villagers often brought their children to meet him, hoping some of his fire would touch their hearts. Samuel always told them, "It's not about being strong. It's about choosing not to stay weak." In the final years of his life, Samuel stood at the door of his workshop, now a large and thriving business, watching younger craftsmen shape wood just as he once had. He felt peace. He had risen, not because he was lucky, but because he fought, he bled, he learned, and he never gave up. His journey is a reminder that no matter how dark your beginning is, it does not define your ending. Pain is a teacher. Discipline is a weapon. And belief in yourself is the fire that can turn even the poorest soul into something unstoppable. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories inspired by Eric Bertrand Larssen.